go. I need to automate that, but we will. We are starting the game dev section today. The credits run for a little bit. I will be updating the credits this weekend because a lot of stuff has come in. I haven't had a chance to get to all of it. You know, we were just talking about family and the boy and stuff like that. You probably would have found the conversation quite interesting because we ended up branching off into a conversation about dad's place in the home type thing and how it's changed. Whereas when I was growing up in the 60s and 70s, you didn't see dad that much other than when he was drunk or pissed, you know. He wasn't that involved in raising up the kids, you know, and that's changed. And now dads are more involved in their more hugs from dad, that kind of thing. Because we were talking about our main character, and if he got moved to the realm with his grandfather, because he was at his grandfather's, because mom and dad were out on a Viking raid, dad being a Viking warrior, mom possibly being a warrior or a shield maiden. We did look up the fact that women were warriors, so both of them could have been warriors out on a raid, and the boy was staying with grandpa. You know, I think we locked down that when they went through the rift, the boy was 7. When we start the game, the boy's 10, so they've been there 3 years. You know, I think that's kind of the gist of it. And then we didn't finish. So those are kind of the things that we were talking about yesterday. Yes, it has changed quite a bit. Because I was saying, like, I was born in the early 60s and raised in the 60s. And um, other than when he came around to yell at us or beat us, we never saw any of the dads that we had. You know, so yeah, and oh yeah, we did look up mystics can be male or female. So it was from the time that we have pulled them out of the Viking land before the Saxons, they meet the Saxons. There was a lot of equality there, which actually works out really really cool for us. So Goblin's back. Oh, I'm glad you enjoyed our dad jokes, Goblin. You being obviously a published dad joke author, that's actually kind of cool. I'm glad you enjoyed our little time. Oh, thank you very much. We actually evolved it because I used to just read them and people would guess them. And we were playing Lost Vikings at the time and Rock and Roll Racing. And at the end of Rock and Roll Racing, when you finish it, we said that Rock and Roll Racing was sponsored by um, Viking soda, the meaty soda you have to drink with a fork. So then I made a little Viking soda, which we didn't have before. We made a little Viking sodas and started putting them up as rewards for people guessing. But it did evolve on the show, so it became a thing that it really wasn't before. So yeah. And it gives them a reward. Now, one thing we have to do, and I still have to draw it, is I need either a pretzel or a bowl of pretzels because there are times when we need a little extra reward, but we'll work it out. Yeah. So sometimes you will get a soda. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I think you would like yesterday's conversation, both you, Davey, and Savvy Otter. If you guys look on the YouTube under game development, it should be on there because I cut down just the game dev part and put it on in the game development section. Because the whole point that we were trying to come across is, okay, what does, let me open Word here. Oh, Savu, we also went from into Word to type stuff up instead of uh, Miro. Wow, my brain, it just went blank. Hey, when that happens. Welcome. So let's do this. Thank you, Savvy. Let's get our windows up. Logos and creds down. I think this is the correct window. Is it? It is. So yesterday we were talking about the boy story and all that. He's basically 7 years old when the accident happens, 10 at the time that granddad disappears. He's learned some rune casting, throwing the bones from his grandfather. He has an apprenticeship in town. We haven't decided which place he's apprenticing at. You know, he wants to believe his parents are still alive or have made it to Valhalla. Wants to return to them in either case. So he wants to go back to mom and dad. Yeah. Mm. Oh, and no bored Viking. No bearded Viking. That, well, he's a kid. He'll grow a beard in the next couple of years. So, where his parents, why with granddad, parents left him to go on a Viking raid when the accident happened, which led to the conversation about were women allowed to fight? Yes, they were. And some of them became great warriors. You know, how did they get to the realm? This was the earlier discussion. I was trying to make bullet points up here at the top so that we have them. You know, I think one of the questions we have to ask is, where was the boy when granddad disappeared? Because before we had him at the faraway town, but there is no faraway town. So we could say he was at his apprenticeship. Question. Fishing, maybe fishing. Sorry, I didn't realize the zombie attack was coming that soon. The progress of equality in many cultures was often not linear. Oh, sorry. But, another answer. Move Joel answer. Let me go back up here. was not linear. There was ebbs and flows. It's one of the reasons that the stories of the past are so interesting. In many ways, they're definitely expectation definite. They defy expectation. Yes. I think there is no. I think that history 100% does ebb and flow. I don't think that there's a. In my opinion, I don't think there's a true right way or wrong way to do those things. I think the bottom line comes down to what is needed in the moment, and can someone do it? And it doesn't matter who or what or anything else they are. Can they do the job? I had a suggestion initially about the boy stealing a boat from the fishermen and trying to go out to sea, where he meets a giant serpent guarding the coast line and barely makes it back alive. Then on his way back, worried that Grand's going to be angry because he was going to something he wasn't supposed to do. He realized Granddad is missing. We can add this to that Sparta. So for those of you that are new, we're basically we're still writing the story, or the basics for the story that we're going to be telling in the game. So we're collecting information and collecting ideas and stuff like that. And it's kind of cool, kind of fun. So yeah, okay, good. You can see it on the screen. I mean, he could have done that. I mean, if as my mind works through it, I actually like it. And here's why: because it shows that our boy is not, our character is not a, for lack of a better way to put it, because these would be probably terrible words to use, but he's not a goody two shoes. He does have that Viking drive to go and explore and do all those things, and I think that's pretty good. That's just for me to remember. I don't even think this term's even used anymore, is it? Probably would wonder what the is. Hmm. Yeah, I haven't heard in the last 15 years. Yeah. I wonder what the origin of it was. That's funny. I don't know why that popped into my head, but yeah. Yeah, I like the idea that he's not beholden to grandfather, but he is his own person, and he is very much a Viking mentality of let's go, let's do, if you don't want to do it, I'll go do it on my own type thing. So maybe the boat thing actually works, where we can start his adventure when when he's pulling back up to the docks and getting off the boat. Fits the narrative with Viking theme. Very good too. Yeah. Since fishing was a big cornerstone, it's also something that I can see a 10-year-old boy absolutely, and that's important. There was funny as when I was at 6 foot, they had produced a movie. I wasn't part of it, but they did give it to me to watch and give them some notes on. And I wrote some notes. And one of the things that I noted was this: is there's one scene where you're behind the boy and he's walking down the sidewalk, And on the right of him is a stone wall. On the left of him is just the grassy patch before the street. And when the camera first comes to him, you can see that his left arm on the wall side started to reach out to touch the wall, and then he stopped himself and put it back like at his side. And my note to them was, a 10-year-old boy would run his hand against on that wall. It's just what they do. They are, and for him, what basically looked like happened is probably in one of the takes he did run his hand on the wall, maybe the first one, and someone told him not to. But when he first walks up to the wall, his natural reaction to reach out to the wall still happened in the cut that they kept. And I always said, why did you tell him to stop? Why did you tell him not to touch the wall? Because the kid would do that. So you have to do things that person of that age would do. You have to show things that person of that age would do. If you're building something for someone 10, you have to think about what that means and what they would do. You know, it's just like the kid that we have, the axe boy, who's throwing axes at the water. You know, to as we've developed into that, he's trying to hit the otter. You know that is what a boy would do. It's not great, but it's who they are. So yeah, I think that him thinking, I am a Viking, I will get in the boat and I will row to the next village or whatever, or I will see what's out there, completely within character for him. Yeah, maybe his tradeship is fishing. Maybe that's what he likes. He loves being on boats. But yeah, stopping him and sending him back actually makes sense because I think that Loki likes the idea of having his own realm, and he doesn't want anything changing that. And if there's other things in the realm out there that would question his authority or diminish him, I don't think he would let it happen. So him putting something all the way around the island to prevent them from leaving makes perfect sense. I think one of my favorite examples of kid characters done right in a game was Arius in God of War. He's supposed to be 11 or 12 in the game, and given the story and scenario, he actually acts like a kid and a little turd at times. Yeah. And so should, well, I'm just going to call him Leaf for now. We haven't officially called him Leaf yet. But because I'm tired of saying the boy, that just, no, it's starting to bug me. But Leaf, yes, his grandfather's a mystic, and yes, his grandfather's teaching him things, but his mom and dad are warriors. So I think the warrior part of him is still in there. The adventurous part of him is still in there. If it isn't, we don't have a game. So that could be he needs to do that because he wants to be a warrior, and he could have, used some of his apprenticeship earnings, whatever the earnings are, to get the blacksmith to make him a sword. See what's out there. Yeah, I mean, see, I see what you did there. I wasn't here for that part. What's his grandpa doing? What's his grandmother? No grandma. Unfortunately, grandma has died. In the original story that I came to the table with, he would, as he goes through, he would go to the ancestors' burial tombs, and each grandparent would be there, and they would teach him things and give him advice. Well, we've changed that to now because of just the whole story change that we've made. Is now The grandfather being the mystic, the head mystic of the whole encampment. He has the altars to the gods. And when they kidnapped Grandpa, they also busted up those altars. And instead of him having to put the ancestors' tombstones back together, he has to put the gods' altars back together. And as he gets each altar completed, that god gives him something. So that is where we're at on that. So I think that there's going to be times, absolutely, when Leif doesn't follow what Grandpa says. And that's actually good for us, because with the reputation thing that we want to put in, that can make major swings in both ways. But the initial idea for him also running the training grounds, yes, is still valid. Oh yeah, absolutely, yes. It would also explain why Leif's parents are great warriors. Yeah, because Grandpa could be a warrior mystic. And it gives an extra drive for the boy being strong. Yeah. In fact, one of the ways that Leif could figure out that Grandpa was taken was Grandpa put up a fight. Maybe there's some dead or broken machinery in the house where they live, because Grandpa did not go gently into that night. I'm pretty sure Grandpa, being a mystic and a warrior, he put up one hell of a fight when they came to take him. But I also like the idea that if he did put up a fight, was it against men or machine? Because if the brother, we've already established the brother is a detached soul that's been put into a mech, a steampunk mechanism. Maybe his first copies, for lack of a better way to put it, the first copies he made of himself were copies that he would use to go get Grandfather. They would have to withstand his ability to not only use magic but fight as well. Did we fix Grandma? Did we? Or was it just a matter of chance that it was Grandma? Huh? We I'm trying to see if that's a typo or not. Did we fridge Grandma? Or was it just a matter of chance that it was Grandma? It was just a matter of chance that it was Grandpa. So if I'm understanding your question. Yeah, Grandma's been dead for a long time. Any chance animals were turned into mechs? We haven't even got there yet. There was someone in the sketch art who did draw a wolf with no front legs. And there's also a piece of sketch art there where people are replacing limbs that have been knocked off and stuff like that. So, it gets to the old joke: is what do you call what do you call a three-legged pig? A pig that good you don't eat all at once. Yeah. But yeah, I'm sure that there would be, maybe the blacksmith fidgets with stuff like that and creates living creatures with artificial legs, and people take their pets to him and say, "It's lost its leg. Little Fido needs a tail," or whatever. Yeah, the pig's got a leg up on others. Yeah, true. Very nicely done. But yeah, Grandma was never part of the discussion because we wanted in the original storyline. It just never came up. It was just that Grandpa lives alone, and he and the boy was living with him, and we were trying to when we were talking about how did he get to Grandpa and why is Grandpa raising him, then we came to a lot of other storylines in regards to why. Leaf goes home, thinking he'll find Grandpa. The entire house is in shambles. Metal gears and cogs all over the place. Yeah, burn marks and slashes all over the walls. Yep. Leaf, terrified of the sight, runs immediately to the clinic and asks the nurse, but she's got no idea where Grandpa is, and he's late for work. He did not show up. And we also have to put the clinic far enough away from the house then that the nurse did not hear him being taken in the first place. Because the question would be, if his parents are great Viking warriors, why Leaf? We have we have a lot of suggestions yesterday made for his name. I'm just using Leaf because I just don't want to call him Boy anymore. Leaf is not the final name. Because we did get yesterday a lot of suggestions on the name. We just haven't finalized one. It is for simplicity's sake while speaking, not for finalization. Yeah, I can move some stuff around the map. So that makes sense. Okay. Yeah, the clinic has to be far enough away that they would not have heard the ramble and the fighting and stuff that went on to take Grandpa. Yeah. Or oh, God. No, it didn't have to be far enough away. Also, Grandpa doesn't want his work right next door. Yeah, if the problem with making the house look like it exploded is it is still an offshoot small village of the main town. And other people in the town would be in that small village area, that small offshoot, would be aware some major stuff happened, and we'd have to be able to. He would come back to everybody in the neighborhood out in the streets, going, "Oh my God, blah 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 blah." I didn't say I didn't like it. I just grabbed the first name in my head this morning. I mean, the name of our mock-up game in Game Maker is called Toby. But is Toby or Dave, are those Viking names for that time period? Well, I mean, when he goes home, people are starting to gather. He runs past them and runs to the hospital, the clinic, to see if Grandpa's there. That also puts a sense of urgency that it just happened into the mix. That way we make sure the pseudonym. Okay, we will use Toby. You have a good point, Sparta. I bow to your suggestion. No, it's not. Toby is not the same power as Bob, because Bob can be spelled backwards the same way and be the same word, where Toby cannot. It would be Yabat. Is there a channel in the Discord where we could post name suggestions? Yeah, there's a whole thing for game design in the Discord. It's called it's down here. something like our game design or something like that. But to watch music, general stuff, our game suggestions under Ask the Allfather. There's a place called Our Game Suggestions. So you guys can use that as a place to put things. Toby's a good boy. Yes, he is. And he does backflips for treats. How about doing something similar D&D did in one of the stories where the entire city got teleported, leaving the crater behind? Well, that's already been done, because when they left, when they were pulled from the realm they were in, I'm sure that there's a crater behind. We don't ever talk about that because we're talking about where they ended up, because they would not know what was left behind. They would not know about the crater being left behind. But we could make cutscenes of the gods discussing the town disappearing, and we have some information on that we talked about yesterday or the day before. You know, like I said, they're teleported into this realm. That's how they got there, through a rift that we still haven't explained how the rift happened. But oh wait, we did explain how the rift happened, because it was done by the Rainbow Bridge. Yeah, a double teleportation would probably be a bad thing. Is teleporters doing nothing but a crater after? Yeah, well, I would like to even just avoid what was left afterwards, because even the gods would just talk about the fact that it's gone, not great descriptions of a crater or anything like that. Because, like I said, Loki's probably doing his best to hide as much about it as he can from the gods. The Bifrost, that's right. Okay. Woot, woot, woot. Okay, so let's go back up here. But we'll call him Toby. The boy named Toby. And his friend Bob. And zombie. Zombies. Zombie attack. Was Bob one of the fishermen's children? Possibly. Aha, got Boy back in there. That's right. I got Boy back in there. So it's the boy named Toby and his friend Bob, the fisher boy. Who's the neighbor of the kid in Earthbound? The annoying one, if anyone. I don't remember. Sorry, I haven't played it. No, I haven't either. If you like classic RPGs, I highly recommend it. Okay, cool. Yeah, he could be one of the fisherman's children because that's how he got away with stealing the boat. Yes, I like the idea of writing ridiculous names that have to be changed later. One idea maybe for the kidnap scene, maybe Toby goes home, finds the house in shambles, the mech parts laying around from the fight, and either due to ruin casting training has a special sight that can see magic residue from Grandpa. Have special ruin families. I don't think we have to. I don't think he's that well trained. I think we're overtraining him on that, because I think that for him, he wants to be a warrior like mom and dad. You know, he's just learning the stuff from Grandpa because they're in a place and he has to. You know, so I don't think giving him special abilities and stuff like that's a good thing, because one of the things that we want to be able to do is at the fountain where the altars are. We want him to have to use the fountain to be able to talk to the spirits that are helping him, you know, and we'll see how that goes. But I don't like the idea of giving him extra powers. You know, I think that he should actually struggle with ruin casting and stuff like that. He should not be good at them. You know, and it can be part of our storyline that every now and then he'll try something that he believes his grandpa taught him, but he's not good at it. It's very long ago I play it. I know it is. Well, that's why I also mentioned pets. Possibly the pets can show him part of the fight, but not all the fight, when he would have to go to the fountain and speak with the otter to find out more. It'll make progression feel more natural, fluent as he levels up through the game. Yes, that's the way I'm looking at it too. Is he has to? To me, Toby has a mindset that he would he wants to be a warrior, but in the 3 years he's been with Grandpa, there's been few fights for him to be involved in or be associated with. So his grandpa's been trying to teach him casting and stuff like that, the basics, and he reluctantly does them. Jack Jr., thank you very much for the follow. Yeah, because I want the player to feel like they are progressing, that they have to, that there's some things that they still have to learn. Because that's kind of the point of a game. Make cool stuff. Both for you and the players. Why did that not come up? I click on you, you should appear. Okay, be that way. Yeah, one of the things we talked, I think the pets are a little too much. What we talked about yesterday, I think it was yesterday, is what animals are associated with which gods that we're going to build temples for. And that that when he goes to the fountain, which animals will come to the fountain and talk to him. Now we have a problem with that because we're saying that the gods are not aware of this realm yet. So if they're not aware of this realm yet, then the only god that is aware of this realm, which is Loki, would be the one talking to him through these animals, pretending to be those other gods. And that, until he figures that out, that could be an interesting way to sorry, I'm distracted by something. Let me check something real quick. Hang on. Okay. Okay. I am back. Sorry, I had to look away for a second. I got distracted by something. So yeah, so I think it would be that yes, the correct animals for each god are coming, but it's always Loki that's providing their message. Yeah, that, I think that's the only way we can do that. Because if not, then we have to rethink and rework the whole gods are not aware, and I do like that the gods are not aware till later that the realm even exists. Maybe the animals are tied to the statues and can only talk to him because they are limited amount of power and become sure. I don't like the idea of them being tied to the statues because and here's why, if if the mechs had come, taken grandfather and knocked down the shrines and all that stuff, they would have let any animal tied to those shrines go. I more like the idea that Loki is bringing the correct animal to them and controlling those animals, than them just being tied to one of the shrines. So I don't think that works. Yeah. I do like the idea that it is the correct animal for the god he thinks he's talking to, but it's Loki behind that animal. That's for each part level. So you'd have to gather pieces of the statue plus the ruin carried by the animal to repair the statue. So then the animals turn more docile. Let the otter, Steve, and the priest be the guides for the boy. I think that's probably a proper way to change it. I do like the idea that the animal that is associated with that god would hold the ruined stone that brings the altar back into whatever power. I'm going to say power, but it's not power, but brings it back in. I don't think Loki gives us powers. I think you're misinterpreting. When the original idea, and I think I've said it, and this is totally my mixing the old idea with the new idea, is I think that we change it to where each altar doesn't give him a power anymore or a mighty scream or whatever, but we do have to figure out another mechanism for him to get powers. Because what we used to do is, as he went to each ancestor, learn from them, put their statue back together, he would go to the fountain, and that's where he would level up, and they would give him some kind of new weapon or new ability, which that kind of goes out the window here, but then we have to ask ourselves, why would he then even bother rebuilding the altars at all? So this is something I wrote for the fisherman. Fisherman is a gentle soul that lives on the outskirts of town with his family. They don't have a lot of money, but they're one of the happiest households in town. They're good friends with the owner of the local clinic, Grandpa, and may owe them a favor in the short. A family guy, cool. Balance might be the word you're looking for. Yeah, balance. Because we do want, one of the things is his reputation does affect how NPCs react to him. If he has a crappy reputation, they treat him poorly. If he has a good reputation, they treat him a lot better. And if he just is in between the two, then they just kind of acknowledge he's there and all good, Mm. Okay, let's see. Actually, we're doing quite well. Okay, so we have the basics. So he and the fisherman's boy took the boat, went out to sea, and were coming back. They came back, and the house is, we'll say, half torn apart, and neighbors are starting to gather. He goes into the house and sees all the destruction and the burn marks in the walls, the missing wall, all that kind of stuff. He does the, oh my God, Grandpa, and then runs to the clinic to see if Grandpa's at the clinic. And then from there starts the journey starts to wonder what he should do. I wouldn't worry too much about it. I have a lot as well. I am far worse than you are, sir. I know no grammar. I know no spelling. I just stand in the corner and keep on yelling. Yes, I do. Okay, I'm trying to think here. The altars could bestow one-time temporary buffs each time they make progress in repairing them. And then when the altar is done, it gives the players access to a particular buff. Well, what if we put a... Okay, so we talked about him rebuilding the altar. We talked about, and please correct me if I'm wrong, we talked about the final ruin stone for that altar being associated with the animal of that god. Maybe when he puts the ruin on the altar for the god that it's for, they bestow that ruin on him, which is a one-time use something, based on whichever god it is. And maybe that ruin has a recharge time, so he can use it, but it depletes. But the more he uses it, the more the battery life, for lack of a better way to put it, the battery life for that ruin increases. So when it first gets at full capacity, it's one shot. After it uses it, it gets a little more battery capacity or whatever. And at some point, you'll be able to do 2 shots with it, but we'll see. There has to be, but there's definitely a charge up time or a recharge time. I'm not saying we put Apple chargers in town and he just goes in and charges up all of his ruins. That's not what I'm saying. Yeah, we had that all before us. Good point, Sparta. I forgot about that. Is the nurse says that he should go to the sheriff. We were calling him the sheriff at the time. I don't know what the Viking police are. The sheriff turns him away because the sheriff is in cahoots with the uncle. And then he goes to... Steve is right outside the town hall when the sheriff throws him out of the town hall. And Steve sends him to the priest. Then the priest sends him to the gods. So if we do it that way, yeah, suggest praying to the gods. And he goes to where the shrine is and then realizes, oh, damn, somebody broke our shrines. Back here. I think we're up here now still. I'll put it here. Yeah, because that was a storyline we were working on before. I think that you're right, Sparta. I think that still works. Well, we have to limit the influence of the gods on this world. Because as we have said before, the gods don't know this realm exists. It was an accident that Loki had. It was the accident of Loki when Thor bumped him during an experiment or knocked him over during an experiment. So we have to limit how much the other gods can, in fact, they can't affect him at all. So we have to tie all information that he gets from what he thinks are the gods, what he thinks are the gods' pets. We have to limit that to it being just Loki for all of them. And he's trying to cause disturbance and mayhem with the advice that he gives. Because the end game is basically, we have the three different end games, but the overall end game is that the gods see the realm and the gods help them. Will then end the game be story driven or more like a sandbox? It will determine how we're wanting to give them consumable resources or permanent skill increases. I don't know. To me, I like the idea of he's still earning it. When it comes to anything not just a weapon in his hand, he's still learning it, and its powers ebb and flow. Yeah, technically, the way we've brought them into this realm, there could be all kinds of crap all over the place. So Devil King is saying we could say small traces of divine essence and whatever are all over the place. That makes sense. What if this is where we combine science and magic? Blessing of the gods is useless. Till he goes back to town, Steve notices the ruin, takes him to the alleyway where he forges his first gadget, which will act as a power up. Yeah, that could work. Because, like I was saying before, I think that Loki, when Loki comes into the realm, because he's the only one that knows it's there, he enters through Steve. And part of Loki's ingenuity stays with Steve after Loki leaves. How could we already be there? Interesting. This is my conduit into this world. I call him Steve. Well, we had originally had Steve as the genius madman, and we had originally had Steve and the wise monk as two of the main places where he goes for information and stuff. Because the wise monk can be a little both. He could be very mech oriented, but also very much still about the gods. No, I wasn't getting you wrong. You're fine. Plus, it works with our names that have to be changed. Even though Steve is funny, we can call him Sven later. But for now, Steve actually works. Because you get a little bit of magic and a little bit of giggle every time you hear him called Steve. The high priest in the temple could be on neither side exactly. He's there for the people, not the cause. Yes. But I think that there are, I'm going to put this on the list, but I think there's still going to be times where even the high priest has to take a side. Whether it's in a public forum or not. because he may see something in Toby that makes him go, okay, I'm going to help this kid, and bring and make him part of the Rebel Alliance. Yeah, but I think that as the priest of the town, I think you're absolutely right, Sparta. Having him have to balance between the two can do two things. Number one, it's a good mechanism no matter what, but it also can show Toby that you can have a balance between the two. Mm. No, I don't think using the priest as a crushing mechanism later is a good idea. Mm. Yeah, I think that works. Yeah, what did I miss up here? Yes, it's just rather quiet. What do you think about the divine particles? Expansion of the divine. What about now? The only other thing he got is Steve's gadgets. I like the idea of some of the divine energy still being scattered throughout our new realm that he can go to. And with Steve's gadget, maybe Steve's gadget doesn't power up the ruins, but gives him the ability to find where those energy points are. So that way it's kind of a, yes, I'm helping you, but I can't make something directly to power that, but I can give you a device to help you find those pockets of energy that are here that you can go and power your stuff up in. Does that make sense, or am I just losing at this point? So if you're wanting to make it feel like protagonist is learning things and earning things constantly, then each chapter, each altar would teach him a lesson. Well, that's what we had before. That was part of the original story. And skill, and then in the climax, they have to bring it all together in order to prevail. Yeah, that's how we had it written out in the original story when we had the ancestors, and each ancestor would teach him something. Ricken, thank you very much for the 4-month resub. Thank you. Listen, give him skills, blah, blah, another order. Yeah. That's the way it originally was, which is each of his 9 ancestors would give him advice, but they would also give him a power. And that power would be a power that he would have to use to get through the next level. But we've gone a little bit deeper than that at this point. We've gotten rid of the ancestors and replaced them with gods, but they're gods that have no power because they're not aware of this realm existing yet, and Loki's been manipulating everybody through the whole thing. Yeah, something like that. Sparta. You're absolutely, you're right. And yeah, yeah, because the well could be used as a power up, but in the field, Steve may have invented something that absolutely gives him the ability to find other pockets of that energy that he gets from the fountain. I think I missed that. What changed then? Well, what changed is we decided to go to a Viking world, or a Viking culture, and we can't have like all the ancestors buried there because they've only been there 3 years since the accident happened, and they went through the rift into the new realm. So there are no ancestors buried. There's only people that have died in the last 3 years. So we switched that to the 9 most important gods that the grandfather still believes in. And then when grandfather gets taken, those statues or those altars get broken up, and our main character has to put them back together. Now, what used to happen was, as he put each ancestor one back together, he would get a special ability like the lion's roar, or other things like that, and then he would also level up each time he completed all the quests for each ancestor. But we have to rethink that and make it work for this. So we will see. Oh, of course, Loki will always betray at the end. Because that's just what Loki does. And it's okay because Thor's going to blame him anyway. Mm. Initially, we didn't know what the world would be. Now that it's a Viking steampunk world, we needed an excuse to have old school Vikings into a steampunk environment. So we moved them to another dimension. The core storyline is still viable, but needs minor reworking. Yes. Which means we will be doing some story time soon, because I have to concatenate everything we've talked about into a viable story. So we're not that we're just technically it's we're brainstorming. We're brainstorming our world and what's going on. I think we're pretty close to the base story being done without screwing too much of what we've already gotten done. It's just like Sparta says. It's just we're ironing out a few things. Oh, excuse me. I am out of tea. What time is it? Oh, okay, so we still got time to go through some stuff. So yeah, bringing the whole story together is gonna be a big step for all the things that we've already talked about. But there is quite a few nitpicky things here and there that we're going to have to address and go over. So what'll probably happen is we'll do some more brainstorming tomorrow, but not about Toby or about Bob or Steve, but about the town itself and what's going on in town, um, where their loyalty lies, all that stuff. Another thing I've discovered, I have not used my fan, but it's starting to get warm here now. Oh, it's 85 degrees out right now. Wow, it hasn't been 85 degrees in a long time, which makes it terribly hot in this room. To be fair, for today, we managed to pull the viable story from how Toby gets away for his grandfather's disappearance, yes, all the way to the beginning of the game progression system. Yes, I think we've done a good job. I'm not arguing that at all. I think that's as far as what I'm basically saying is I think that we're kind of in a good spot with it right now, and that yeah, the only thing there's only a couple of minor things that my brain keeps shutting out at is how quickly after his grandfather disappears does he actually show up? Which may be irrelevant based on if it's a cinematic piece or a live gameplay piece. Probably it'll be a cinematic piece. That way, even though we know the story behind him stealing the boat and all that stuff, it's still something that the player has to discover and work through. And the temple stuff actually still can work as well. It's just I like the idea more of it's not directly the gods giving him the powers anymore when he fixes their altars, but it's an illusion that it's the gods giving him power, and it's actually Loki. Because to me, at the end, is the betrayal is all the powers that Loki has given him. He tries to use against Loki, and fails because they're powers by Loki, so they don't do anything to Loki. Hmm. Okay, let's see. We're a little bit early. See if this. See if anything was delivered today. No. Okay. So we have. I think we're done with this part. In all honesty. This weekend, Sparta, I will be reviewing your stuff that you put online and probably building the map that you have in there because you said you're going to make some corrections to it. And what I meant by a crush's spirit. I have a pipeline laid out for the functioning town with day-night cycles. Oh, cool. Gossip routes. And some minor relationships between people in it. Oh, cool. If you have time to check that out. Yeah, well, we can actually have a whole discussion about it tomorrow. I really like the idea of the gods getting power from worshippers. So if there is a believer in this realm, the gods would have power here. The tower within the realm being prevented from joining the rest of that gods. So the main character could meet a somewhat weak. Well, I guess you've missed this part in Formal Goblin. Is the grandfather leads that sect, and the grandfather has been teaching him. So, but the grandfather is the head of the mystical sect here in this world. He is the one that built the altars. He's the one that did all those things. You know, because he that is what he believes in, whereas his brother is more of the steampunk mechanical, because because grandfather had at the point of death removed his brother's soul and put it into a mech to keep him alive, because it's his twin brother. You know, so yeah. Yeah, because we're slowly, basically, because the realm was created by an accident by Loki, the world tree isn't connected to it yet. And the world tree is slowly growing towards it. And it's been 3 years and the world tree hasn't made it yet, but it is still trying to grow towards it. So that's when the world tree gets it and the realm is visible to all the gods, then, then it's going to be a completely different story. And the gods are either come in and clean everything out, or, raise those that are, raise those that believe in them and have fallen. Hopefully that makes sense. Yeah, I need another cup of coffee or something. My brain is just exhausted right now. Is Loki actively trying to prevent the world tree from connecting? Yes. He doesn't want the world tree to connect, and because his motivation is that even though he accidentally created this world, it is a world where he is in charge, where he is Odin of this world, and he likes that because his ego just can't get past that. So, yeah, that's why the only god that is present there or does anything there is Loki. So we have to keep in mind that he is going to be just as mischievous. Wow. He's going to be just as much a pain in the ass there than he is everywhere else. So, but he's also going to start representing himself in the head god mode, which is why him speaking through the statues of the altars of the gods and stuff like that, and trying to get people to believe that he is those gods, is so important. Ads what? I'm gonna have to check these timers. That can't be 20 minutes. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, Sparta, your reply is correct. I think that was down here, wasn't it? No, this is all the stuff about the parents. About the animals. Let's just put it at the bottom here and we'll talk about it. Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it, is that he's trying to basically put out a signal to the world tree that they're over here. We're over here, you know. And Loki is trying to prevent it. So he got into the ear of the uncle to go and take the brother and to destroy the shrines. And that slowed, and we talked about this the other day, is when the shrines were torn down, it slowed the world tree down from reaching them. So it was kind of heading in a direction, then it just kind of had to spread out. What is it that allows Loki to exist in this realm? Because he's the only one that knows it's there. Is he? Okay, informal goblin. It goes, is Loki actively trying to prevent the world tree from connecting? Yes. Grandpa built, we got that. What is it that allows Loki to exist in this realm? Because he accidentally created it and knows where it is, where no other god knows that it exists or where it is. Take the place of the grandpa or the place of the uncle. Actually, it still gives us 3, or lead everybody back to the original realm. Get kidnapped by zombies. Funny. No other god is aware that the realm exists. Correct. He puts a small veil over it in Heimdall's sight. Yes, we talked about that. Blames Thor for the alleged destruction across the 9 realms. Yes. The reality being that those are just chunks teleported into their own realm. Yes. If you take the place of Grandpa, then you'll finish his work and call. That's true. I mean, we do not even have to show them going back. He could just power everything up, and maybe even using Steve's locator, if we go with that idea, where Steve's device doesn't run the ruin, but it does take him to areas where the ruin can be recharged. Is using Steve's locator to help pull the world tree in their direction could be interesting. And taking grandfather's place could be interesting too. Because the gods he could take grandpa's place, and then the gods could reward him for fighting for them. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? And as part of that reward is him having dominion over that realm as king or whatever, or head Viking, whatever, however the Vikings hierarchy works. Yeah, and having the roots come from the sky and then embed themselves in the land, that kind of thing. Yeah, blessed by the gods. And Loki, we can do the whole Loki's in a a tree root prison for a little while. And little kids throw things at him. Fun. Hmm. I'm going to have a lot of notes to dig through this weekend. Yeah. I like that. Thor just puts his hammer on Loki's chest and walks away. That would be funny. You can only have Loki kind of end up becoming a kind of hero in the end, because once Odin and the rest know about the realm, they could see it as a threat and wish to destroy it, but Loki could end up defending. No, because we've already set up a situation where Loki has already blamed Thor for the mishap in the first place and the disappearance of the town. I don't like the idea of Loki being the hero at the end of the game. I want our player to be the hero and Loki to get what's due him because of setting up Thor the way he did. And a snake drips venom into his eye. Cute. Because the only reason Loki would defend it is if he thought he was the ruler of it, which he thinks he is until the World Tree gets there and the gods finally see it. And Odin and them instantly sends the ravens, and the ravens come back to him and say, "Here's what Loki's doing," you know. And it can't end on a happy note for Loki. I don't want it to end on a happy note for Loki. I want Loki to get what's coming to him. And he could only tiptoe. One drop keeps falling on top of his head. Drip, drip, drip. For all eternity. Cool. So I think we have all the base done for the world creation, for the grandpa and uncle, for Loki and what Loki's doing. There's particulars for moving forward, but I'm just talking about the beginning base story. And then the beginnings for Toby and what's going on with Toby. Yeah, so I think we're actually in pretty good shape. But like I said, I'm still working on the I am pulling the transcripts down for the chat, of course, but I'm also working on some other things to hopefully help my side of that. I wrote a program in Python yesterday, or the other day, over the last couple of days, that will take my audio of me talking and transcribe it. It's not perfect yet, but I'm getting there. But I do have it with timecode on, and I can download. I actually have a converter for it's a chat timecode because it's done in milliseconds or something like that. And then I did a test last night to line them up, and it actually didn't work out too bad. So I was actually pretty happy about that. The first try to line your chatting text with my talking text it wasn't 100% success, but it was a definitely possibility to move forward. Okay, so far we've got most of everything in for a demo, yeah. And that's all we really need, is to get into a demo mode. That sounds amazing. Cool. Because what I can do is I'll make a copy of Toby the game that we have already built. and we will, assuming we'll start this on Monday, we'll start changing the map layouts to match what we've talked about. In Sparta, I will probably use the map layouts that you've put up here. Let me see where they are here. I apologize for not getting, not you. Was it you? Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was you, wasn't it? Yeah. Where'd it go? The otter, the otter, otter, otter. Bum, 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 bum. He said it was an email, didn't he? Yeah, so I haven't been on the computer that has the email yet. I thought he was chained to the outer parts of the world. Was okay. Could have swore I may have screwed things up. Let me figure out here. It must be an actual email. Let me look at my emails. Oh, I gotta start the other computer to look at my emails. It's one of the things when you've separated one computer from the rest of your network. Not you can't get to everything instantly. I do say, Sparta, the runes that you made are really cool. For those of you who haven't seen them, go to our game suggestions. And Sparta did some artwork with some ruins that are made of amber that are really freaking cool. I really like them. I know I saw this. Where the hell did I see it at? Mm-hmm. Okay, well, I'll have to find them. I'm not seeing them in the moment. So it may be on regular email. Well, where did Frilly Potato Knife put it? Also, the map was in game suggestions. I'm pretty sure it might be buried by now. I'm looking at game suggestions. I'm not seeing it in our game suggestions. Because I know that all your ruins are in there, and I see those pretty easily. But for some reason, okay, there's all that and that. Was it deleted? Yeah, I'm not seeing it in game suggestions anymore. Maybe it got deleted. Oh. Yeah, we don't have to worry too much about it being all frilly. I did just find it. You just put it back up. So, yeah, I like this because it does fit what we're talking about and what we have been talking about, including the fisherman's right there. That's actually pretty cool. Yeah, this map does fit what we've been concepting and talking about from for the last week or so. So I does like it. Let me see if I can pull it up over here. Yeah. So this is what he's got on there. Oh, got to make it a lot smaller. Let me get this screen back to the right size. Put that up. So yeah, so that kind of works. I like the layout better than we have now anyway, because the one we have now is just from the tutorial and us throwing it together. So this can work quite a bit better. And to voice one of your concerns from earlier this week, you're going to see your name on the credits a lot more, just so you know. Because you got a lot of stuff that you put in, as well as writing and just basic design overall. Okay, I'll check it out. I seem to remember seeing it, which is odd because I'm like I don't usually look past those things, but I've been working on this code for transcribing, and it slowed me down quite a bit. And I will tell you right now, it is hot in this room. I really need my fan on, but we'll show you. We close that. We'll find that Excel file. And then where are we at? We are at the end point of this one. We will be, oh, put that back up. Okay. I think I mean the email because I my email's on another computer. It isn't attached to this computer for safety reasons. So I may have been going through my email on the other computer, saw it, and then forgot to download it and pull everything to this computer. Yeah, that whole thing we have to review. We have to review the code. So just for security reasons. So we will see how all that goes. Hopefully it will go well. Alrighty then, let's do this. We need this. Put that there. And then say goodbye to this section. Say ending game dev.